Let's talk about the business of the day as it relates to theater with your hosts, Darnelle Radford and Mitch Weiss. This is The Business of Theater, a working title. I was thinking there are too many things.
Yeah.
We just needed a break. So we took a break and now we're back. Hi.
And you are?
Mitch, I know we're looking for a replacement for the working title, but we cannot name the business. We cannot name the podcast The Business of Theater. It's me. It's 2023.
Well, it rhymes. It's me. It's 2023.
I know. I was thinking from Wicked. It's me. 2023.
You probably would have to
We can't name
be
it.
careful. You don't want to pay a royalty. Or get sued. Or get sued for other reasons.
We're getting a bunch of bills sent to a PO box. Like we have no idea. Like I had no idea we had a PO box. Anyway, this is The Business of Theater, a working title. I'm Darnelle Radford.
I'm Mitch Weiss.
And let's get down to business. So Mitch, we haven't been in the virtual studio since probably mid-December. But
it's a perfect day, Martin Luther King Day. It's a great day to restart, to refresh. It's a new year. Even if I don't believe COVID is gone, the fact that everybody has optional masks when you go to the theater.
I had a dream. Oh, wait, wrong dream.
Yeah. Very wrong dream.
I know. I was saying that earlier today. I was like, whose dream was better?
Yeah.
Or whose dream was realized? There are both dreams in the world.
Well, just to scare everyone, I rarely remember my dreams, but I woke up this morning remembering that Oprah and LaShawn's were in my dream, and they were both staying in my apartment. So Let's go with how surrealistic that one is.
And it's a cozy New York apartment.
Thank you. So cozy is the word of every New York apartment.
You're like, we're just going to sleep out in the hall.
Yeah.
You can have
the bathtub. You put a nice blanket in the bathtub. It works. Not, give them a pillow. It's all right. It's a bed.
Oprah's like, oh no, I will not be staying here.
I think she snuck out in the
not even on the top.
No, she snuck out in the middle of the dream. That's all.
She snuck out. You were like, wasn't Oprah here a second ago? Even in the dreams, Oprah just disappears.
That's
right. Yeah. So, even though we have not been in the studio, I have been out and about. Probably since our last chat, I've seen quite a few shows. I saw Charlotte's Web at Arden Theater Company, which, if you're listening to us now, is still on stage. That's Arden Theater Company in Philadelphia. It's on stage through the 29th, and it was really good. It was cute. And it's like the fourth time they've produced Charlotte's Web, throughout their, company history. But it was just as good. So I saw that. I saw Blue Man Group at Kimmel, at the Kimmel Cultural Campus. It's the national tour, which I think is only the second one they've done, which kind of blew me away. I was like, I feel like I can't remember if I had seen them live before.
Well, I'm old enough to have seen it in its original formation in the West Village, and also saw the larger, expanded version in Las Vegas.
Mm.
You know,
Oh, maybe that's what I was. Maybe I was thinking like they were a buzz, but in terms of a national tour,
hmm
um, I guess this is the second national tour.
there you
I
go.
don't know. But I did see that. It was enjoyable. There was a lot of audience
hmm
participation, and, it was so interesting how willing the audience was. As soon as they walked out into the audience, they were just dead eyes staring at everybody,
hmm
and just everybody put their hands up, like, me, please, me." And they had a splash zone in the first couple of rows
Oh
because,
yes, yes.
the effects for the drums. It was fun. It was a good night.
Let me. I
Um,
have a story. Well, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Got to throw in stories as I think of them. So
oh,
in
bring in the story.
The Grapes of Wrath, by the way, the director, the amazing director Frank Galati, who directed the Tony-winning
Mhm.
Grapes of Wrath with a cast of 42 or 44 he on Broadway, and also the original director of Ragtime, amongst other things. He passed away just, I think, 2 weeks ago. A great loss to the
Mm,
theater. But the reason I brought it up, you said a splash zone. Grapes of Wrath had a 22-minute rainstorm on stage, which went from drizzle to downpour to in between, back to a drizzle for 22 minutes. And because of the air conditioning system in what was then the Court Theater, it's now the James Earl Jones Theater,
mm.
because it was so powerful, we had to give people in the front two rows umbrellas just in case the air conditioning blew the rainstorm onto them. So, in the middle of a
Wow.
Broadway show, well, it's not in the middle, it's toward the end of the show, they literally had to sometimes, I'm sure it blocked the people behind them, but they could get very wet until we worked out the air conditioning problem. And so,
Huh.
my splash zone story. But
Cool.
it brought up Frank.
And
We're losing some good people.
yeah, yeah, it's always sad, and it feels like at the end of the year, um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, people and their bodies call it quits.
Yeah.
Um, and let's see what after that. Oh, so in our space at Theater Exile, we hosted solo artist Chris Davis, who did a one man Nutcracker,
Excellent. Excellent.
and that was a lot of fun. It was really great to have Chris in the space, and from what I hear, he did pretty well in terms of attendance. He got good press at that time, and it was really great. So I was really happy to have him in that space. And just recently, I think last week, oh Friday, I saw Jagged Little Pill
Hmm.
at Kimmel Cultural Campus as well. The KCC. I don't know if they call it that, the KCC,
I don't think so.
but it's a mouthful.
Yeah.
Kimmel Cultural Campus. Welcome to the Kimmel Cultural Campus. At first, when they started calling it that, I was a little annoyed by it, but it's growing on me now. Oh, Kimmel Cultural Campus.
Well, and what
That was
is that your list of recommendations this month?
well, those aren't recommendations. I'm just
Oh.
bringing the listeners up to speed. And but there is one thing I want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So last night I attended a concert. It was a concert for Caleb, and
Where was
there's
it?
an interesting story here.
Where,
It was at Arden Theater Company. It was hosted by Arden Theater Company. So Caleb O'Brien, who is a wonderful 6-year-old boy who has been diagnosed for the second time with pre B cell acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Um, his family, the O'Briens of 11th Hour Theater Company fame, of Gretna Theater fame, um, you know, all of their friends and family got together and put on this concert as like a benefit, so they can raise funds for medical expenses and whatnot, and also just to bring some joy to Caleb's
Hmm.
heart. It was live streamed, and it was great. They pulled all of their friends from previous shows and friends that they had went to college with and everything, and including the likes of Rob McClure and Maggie Lakis and Ben Michael, amongst many other Philadelphia notables, Jake Blouch, Carson, Rachel Brennan, Adam Hoyak, uh, um, Jenna Pinchbeck, Amanda Jill Robinson, Marissa Hines, Nancie Sanderson, and Brittany Wit Martin.
Great shout outs.
Just to name a few.
Yeah.
There's a huge list. And ComedySportz here in Philly, had two fun improv moments, and it was such a great night. And it was a fundraiser, and they had a silent auction, which is done, but you can still donate to the cause. You can go to concert for the number four Caleb concert for Caleb.com
Spell Caleb.
to Caleb CALEB,
Okay.
to lend your support, and that information will be in the show notes.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah, it was a good time, and it was all about joy. It was nothing but joy in the space, and I hope it did Caleb's heart uh, well. He was watching
Mm.
remotely with the O'Briens, and it was such a great time.
It's nice when that happens.
Yeah,
We go to a lot of memorials for theater folk that happen in theaters, and even though there is joy sometimes that happens at the memorial, um, it is those that we are supporting that we're keeping alive and that we are truly trying to support, including theater companies. But when there's
yeah,
joy to that, it's worth everything. A lot of other professions don't have this opportunity. We do.
absolutely,
Yeah, you
absolutely,
know,
yeah,
the people who have these serious speeches at memorials, at funerals, I'm sorry, don't understand how much joy you can get from an entertainer saying this was a phenomenal person, or this is somebody that we're going to sing our hearts out for, or we're going to tell jokes
yeah,
for. You know, it's
yeah.
it's a great opportunity. By the way, in which there are two events like that in New York on Broadway every year, um, for Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS. They have
Hmm.
the Easter Bonnet competition, which literally is every Broadway show. And if you've been to a Broadway show during this period, you know what I'm talking about. They during the curtain call, somebody comes out and explains that they're raising money, and while they're talking, cast members are running out to the lobby with buckets and hoping you're just going to throw a $5 bill in there or write a check. Often they auction off a celebrity signing your program for whatever you're giving. Um, and the absolute joy of they do it twice a year for this kind of thing. The absolute joy is you hear that they raise hundreds of thousands of dollars over a period of a month. Every year, they just people just give, and they saw the show, they had a wonderful time. They're laughing with the people after the show. They go out, they get to meet the cast in the lobby as they're going through. It's just totally joy, and you are keeping people alive, and you're keeping
Yeah,
researching for cancer and childhood cancer, and for all sorts. The money goes not just to AIDS organizations; it goes across the country. And during COVID, it went to COVID research, and they just
yeah.
keep using the money, and 100% of the money goes there. That's what's different. Anyway.
There was a little news. One night at the Music Man,
Mm.
um, Nicole Kidman.
Mm-hmm.
Nicole Kidman donated $100,000, like on the spot there, and it was like, really, really riled up the audience.
Yeah,
I mean, in a positive way. Really, really got the ball rolling. But that was great,
it is.
great.
And
Yeah,
one of the great
Broadway
things,
Cares.
what I'm so sorry,
Dot
the
org.
great things about Broadway Cares, you can see a Broadway Cares event 3 times a week, 52 weeks a year. There are people who do their cabaret show, and everyone who comes to see
Mm,
it, they take 100% of the admission money and they send it to Broadway Cares. It
mhm.
happens so often in so many places that at the end of the year, it's well over $1 million every single year that comes in. And even if you give them $10, like selling lemonade on your lawn, Broadway Cares doesn't. It doesn't matter what you give us. The fact that you care enough to donate something of what you're doing, is all that counts. So, okay,
Yeah.
we move on from this
Yeah, so
joy.
even though there's always a giving push at the end of the year,
Hmm.
there's a need, for that giving year round.
Right.
So
And we're in
that's why we're
January and
talking.
everyone spent all their money on Christmas gifts. So this is the time where everyone goes, now what do we do? How do we.
This is the time where you exchange all the gifts that you didn't really want, and now you have cash. And if you fought them from not giving you a gift card to giving you the cash, now you can
There you
take
go.
that cash
There you
and
go.
donate to some good.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Concertforcaleb.com and broadwaycares.org.
All right. So what?
Okay.
Moving on to all the shows
All
that
right.
close in January.
I know, moving on. Yeah. There's a lot of shows closing right now, and we were talking about it earlier. We always make such a big deal at the end of the year that these shows are closing, but it's the end of the year. And, you know, producers are looking for like a justifiable benchmark, to kind of cut their losses or hedge their bets,
Mhm.
like figure out if this is the right time to bow out. And so we had a lot of shows on Broadway did their final bows within the last couple of weeks. A Strange Loop, which I very much enjoyed,
Me too.
did its final bow, but not without a couple of hiccups
Right.
where Michael R. Jackson Jr., right?
I'm not sure.
Michael R.
You'll look it
Now I
up.
got to
You'll
look.
look it up.
Michael R. Jackson had to step in to the lead role and play Usher.
Except just
And
let's be
so,
clear. He was the original lead role when it was off Broadway. So it's
yes,
not,
yes,
without precedent here. He already basically knew
yeah.
what he wrote.
Hmm. Yeah, so I guess that audience had a great night, had an interesting night. Michael R. Jackson stepped into the lead for a special concert version of the musical that night. And then they were non COVID related
Hmm.
illnesses that caused that. But I did see a beautiful like final bow on social media. If you follow A Strange Loop, it was very touching and heartwarming, and they had a fun sort of thing. It was like that that feeling after you close a show on Broadway. Like they did this dance on the way out. They were so excited.
Mm.
But all of those artists, got to be on Broadway and bring such a insightful and
And the show will have a
provocative
life.
show.
The show will have a life for a very long
Yeah,
time.
absolutely. I can't wait to see it crush in Kansas.
Yeah. Good
There are
point.
just parts of the country where I'm just like, this is going to be interesting when it goes up in in these
You
spaces.
know,
But
may
I
I may
I
I
hope it has a
may
great
I just say that I'm one of these people that doesn't want to underestimate the audiences. Uh, Most of the people I know, while it's always a lot of fun to see Hello Dolly once again, um, you
time.
bring them something new and they can go out and they can even say, you know what, I really didn't like that. That's okay, but you
Hmm.
brought them something that it opened their minds, that even if they walk out of there and say, I hated this, it was theater. It did what theater does. And the only issue becomes for producers bringing Hair to Omaha or bringing Strange Loop to Kansas, as he said, is can you sell the ticket up front? Because the show's never going to be there long enough for you to hear that, oh, this is worth seeing. So it's how do you sell a show to an audience that knows nothing about it? And that's where the issue is for me for a Strange Loop or shows similar that take a lot of risks. Hopefully there's enough of an audience that just wants to see something new, and give it a try.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's bad. It just may not be your taste. But you're not going to know that till try it,
Not at all. Yeah. Yeah. And so actually, yesterday, Death of a Salesman closed.
That was one of them,
on Broadway.
Yeah.
And that was
a beautiful production.
Brilliant production.
With two great stars who will be nominated. They have to be.
Yeah, Sharon D. Clarke and Wendell Pierce.
Mm-hmm.
And there was some let me see, some social media drama where Wendell Pierce went viral when he pulled a Lapone and stopped the show.
Pulled the Lapone.
Moment. The Lapone. Yeah. But you know what? There's just people just, you have no respect. Like, come on. And to be that close, like you're in the front rows,
mm-hmm.
Causing such a ruckus or whatever, causing the artists to just stop. Like, they can't focus here because you're not doing your part. You came to experience the work and you're doing something else. Just leave the theater if you have to do that. Like that.
Well, from what I understand, this particular person was a little out of herself.
Yes.
So this is
irate. Wanted their money back. And
wasn't there. I mean, it had nothing to do. She started wanting her money back before she even watched the show. So, this is somebody who was having trouble. But, part of it's also...
I hope you're happy.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your performance.
Viral. Yes.
And one of the national treasures, and certainly the Broadway treasures, Andre DeShields had his 77th birthday on the stage of Death of a Salesman. He's in it. And it's one of the roles that has often been cut from other productions. So he was able to celebrate there. Truth be known, Andre lives in my building. I see him all the time in the elevator. Mm-hmm. And he is an absolute national treasure. He can do no wrong. Jealous. And he works. He won the Tony for Hadestown.
Next time I'm in the building, let's go knock on his door.
We can.
Hi, Andre. How are you? God, you're just wonderful. Can I just say? Anyway.
Hi. And he'll look at you and slap you and say, "Get over it."
I'm just a man.
No, he knows he's more than that. Yeah, yes. No, he knows he's a star in many of our eyes, and he can literally do anything. And the other thing, though, with other shows. So
go ahead.
The other shows that we lost, Music Man, which broke the all-time record for the most money made in any one week by any show on Broadway. And I'm not sure we should be proud of that because that means people were overcharged for what I think a show deserves. It also, which they don't tell you, was Christmas week, in which the producers have the legal option of adding a 9th performance if the following week they cut one performance from the show. So if you can only do 9 if the next week you do 7. And they chose to do that because Christmas week you have all the tourists and people are willing to lay out money ad nauseum. So the show took in $4 million in 1 week. And again, my question always is anybody going to see Music Man, or are you all just going to see Hugh Jackman? And personally, if I'm going to see Hugh Jackman, I'll see him in concert because he's amazing. But I have no desire to see Music Man again.
They're just yelling,
Yeah,
Wolverine,
that's exactly it. So go,
Wolverine.
it's a shame, but he's a super talent. There's no denying that. But when he did his concert Broadway show, that's the way to see him. To me, if you've seen Music Man once or twice or three or four or seven times, you don't need to see it a ninth time.
Before, I mean, before he was Wolverine, he was the boy from
There you
Oz.
go.
So,
What other shows while we're talking?
uh, Mike Birbiglia,
Yeah, great one
um,
man show, which I don't go see, but he was
The
amazing.
Old Man in the Pool. Yeah, closed. Everything closed on the
Well,
15th.
no, we
You know.
lost Almost Famous, which was an attempt at turning the movie into a musical. Unfortunately, it did not catch on, so that closed a
Mm,
week earlier. They could not get
mm,
their audience, and again for our listening audience, shows this number of shows close every January. Period. It's not unique. Every time they put a headline about it, it means nothing. There's less of an
yeah.
audience coming in the middle of frigid cold weather in New York following Christmas and New Year's. They're not there. So shows that
Yeah.
don't have, I mean, Music Man could have extended, they ju- and done very well, but Hugh Jackman had commitments, so they had to close.
So commitments. Yeah.
Um,
And speaking of closing prematurely, Ohio State
mhm.
Murders,
Audra
um,
McDonald,
Audra McDonald.
massively talented. I mean, there's no one like her. You
Yeah.
know,
No.
and she's in a theater which I'm going to visit next week. Um, the what used to be called the Court Theater, the same place where The Grapes of Wrath played in 1990.
Mm.
It is now called the James Earl Jones Theater, and they did a complete renovation top to bottom. And I'm very lucky to be getting a tour from a friend of mine at the Schubert Organization in the coming week to see. Now that there's no show in there, I'm allowed in. They don't let people backstage, still fearing COVID affecting a cast or a crew
Yeah.
member. You
Yeah.
just don't want to take the chance. So the fact that the theater's closed, I can go in.
Hmm.
So I'm looking forward to that. Um, I'm trying to think
And
what else. There's something else of import. Oh,
Top Dog Underdog.
right. That was scheduled to close again because
Yeah.
they figured, it was a limited period of time they could get their actors, and it's January. There's only so far we can keep it going. So they
It's January.
January,
January.
you
January.
know. Um,
Yes.
so Broadway still does well. Hamilton's still selling out. It's just and so is Phantom, and and Wicked. I mean, it's not like that Broadway's suffering. It's just there's only
Yeah.
so much audience to fill the seats, so they
Hmm.
have to reduce the number of shows.
And they make room for more
That's
shows,
right.
like Fat Ham by Pulitzer Prize winning playwright James
By the
Iams.
way, Theater Exile. Your next show coming up in February is
Oh, our next show in February at Theater Exile is called The Light. It's by Loy A. Webb. It is a it is an intimate look inside
you don't have it
uh
memorized, Darnell. You don't have it memorized.
well, it's I'm trying to like add extra to it, I think. It's an intimate look inside a relationship that is about to take a big leap, and where situations from the past and viewpoints create a conflict that tend to that sort of question their future.
Mm.
Based on the sides of the conversation, the two in the relationship, these two characters, Genesis, female, and Rashad, the male, are on in terms of this conflict. And yeah, it is. It is. I mean, like our graphic says, it's explosive and exquisite, and it truly is. I mean, I read it. I read it on the train ride home. Then I bought it at the drama bookshop, and then I read it on the train ride home, and I was floored. Um, you know, by the end, at the reveal, it's 70 minutes, and it just grips you. And I was like, I need a minute to like process this, but
Great.
it was so well crafted. It's a Philadelphia premiere at Theater Exile. I hope to see you in the theater. Come see the
You
light.
can also, if
February.
anybody wants to join me, I'm there on the matinee on February 5th. And so, yay. So
Yay!
if you come on in, ask for Mitch, say hello,
They're
and Darnelle will be there, of
like, is
course.
Mitch here?
Yeah,
It's
why
Mitch
not?
said he'd be here. Is
It's
that?
a Sunday matinee.
Yes.
I'm, taking the train in from New York, and I'll take the train
What have
out
I been
afterward.
saying? What have I been saying all year? It's a great time to be in exile.
Ah, ha, ha, ha,
TheaterExile.org. That's theater
ha.
REXILE
Let's, you know
dot
what?
org.
That's an interesting thing to talk about. When is theater RE and when is theater ER?
Uh,
There are answers. There are answers. I've
I feel like we bring this up all the time.
no,
All right, you just say
it's
the
in my
answer.
book too, and I had a lot of
I
trouble
Yeah.
with the publisher about this.
What is that book? We're just name dropping
Yeah,
all over the
thank you.
place. It's in that book, the business of Broadway.
There you go. Thank you so much. Still available and still doing pretty well, I'm happy to say. Um,
Yes, it is. It is doing
I
very
will, I will
well.
tell you with great pride, thank you very much. With great pride, yeah, you held it up, but we're audio, we're not video.
Hey, one day they will see the video of this and they will say, "What was that? The Business of Broadway, an insider's guide to working, producing, and investing in the world's greatest theater
There
company."
you
Community.
Community, get it
Wow.
right.
Community.
I was
Community.
very proud
Right,
today.
right in place.
I was backstage
Okay.
at the Hayes Theater on Broadway, and I walked into the
Mhm.
manager's office, and sitting right on the manager's desk was my book.
Yes.
Now, and he
Yes.
had no idea that I would be there. So he's either using it to balance his desk in case it's wobbly, or but it was
And
yeah,
also, if you go to the Drama Bookshop, you can see the Business of Broadway. It is part of the bookworm that is weaving its way through the Drama
the
Bookshop.
statue.
That was a wonderful surprise
Yep,
to
right in the
see that.
front. I was very pleased. Um,
Yes.
and anyway, moving. One of the things that
It's actually
oh
fitting to
right,
it's actually fitting to bring up the book because it's a new year. Um, we're still like we're on the other
mm,
side of this uh pandemic.
yes we are.
We're coming down that hill, I guess. And I've been thinking about whether any of our books hold relevance. Any of the books that
Mm,
have been produced before the pandemic are still valid. Of course, there's valuable information in them, but I feel like a lot of those books that we go to as great resources are probably books that would be, you know, well positioned for a revision
the publishing
in the next
industry
year.
has also changed enough as theater has become more, and it may be changing, but it hasn't changed yet. We're still run by the old white men, quote unquote, of uh, of the world, and that means that in publishing, the bigger publishing companies have bought out the smaller ones during the pandemic. My publishing company being one of them. That was bought out, and therefore decisions are made by committee instead of by some uh, interested and creative CEOs.
Yeah.
So the idea of updating the book, which is something I like to do, um, at the moment is not something they're willing to take under their belt, even though the people who ran my publishing would love it. The larger company
Hmm.
has to figure out their finances. So that being said, we've been offering free updates on your website, Darnelle. So,
Yes.
every month, for example, there are new salaries on Broadway. So every time we get this, put it in, there's some new rules.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, I think the book is 95% relevant because the pandemic was an aberration.
Mm.
Um, Listen to me using language incorrectly. Uh, um, the that will be an entire historical analysis by itself. But right now, um, until we lose a lot of the artistic directors from nonprofits, which feed into Broadway, and until some of the hierarchy on Broadway makes some permanent changes, we are still operating under the same system. I will tell you,
Mm.
for example, I follow a lot of what's going on in England. And there are a couple of theater companies in England that have said we're no longer doing 8 performances a week. And
Yeah.
my favorite was two big theater companies in England have said we are no longer going to use a 6 day work week. We are going to have a 5 day work week.
I did. Yeah.
That's revolutionary. You don't
Yeah.
get a day off. Even on your day off, you're memorizing lines, you're working on payroll. You work 7 days a week in the theater. But to have two
Mhm.
days off, oh my goodness. I mean, I can't even imagine what that would be like. So if that carries to the United States anywhere, it will be wonderful. But it hasn't happened yet, so I can't write about it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know. Um, anyway,
Still,
thank you for the
we're
plug,
still,
Darnell. But yeah,
yes. I mean, yeah.
yeah,
We've been plugging for the last 7
yeah.
years.
It's true.
That's it.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
7 years.
Coming up on an anniversary of this book
Mhm.
soon. What was it? April
Oh,
or June?
the month I don't know.
April?
Thank you for even trying.
I know, I can't remember.
Um,
I'm trying to think of because I have 2 dates in my mind when we started
mhm.
updates and when it was
Yeah.
published. Yes.
Anyway,
Anyway,
the other
uh,
thing
in the show
which
notes.
I'd like to bring up is the old adage, how do you get to Carnegie Hall or how do you get to Broadway? Practice, practice, practice. Well, I've
Mhm.
been working a lot during the pandemic with playwrights, and left and right, that's the question. How does how do I get to Broadway? And unfortunately, the answer is there's almost no way. Almost it is, and we're working on it, meaning that some of these changes that people are talking about may open up some doors. But without being discouraging, there are amazing playwrights out there writing amazing work. The shows that are going on at Theater Exile, uh, you just did Wolf Play. It's coming to New York. It's going to be in New York
Coming
this season,
back to
back
New
to New York.
York.
But
Yeah.
these are plays that have never been on Broadway, and yet
Mhm.
they're amazing. I mean, you sit there and go, why not? And that's a really good question. Why not?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Oh, and, yeah, when we were talking about that, last year, we saw, many opportunities like, New York, City Center, produced Into the Woods,
mm-hmm.
and then Into the Woods transferred to Broadway and kept extending, and now it's going to tour.
Darnell, I'm sorry.
And
You have dolphins swimming behind you. I know people can't see that in their video.
there's a bunch of
Yeah,
things.
I just
I'm
noticed them
looking out.
on
Now I've
your
got
the screen behind you. Okay, moving right back
I
to
know
your
it's
yeah.
screensaver. Yes. So as dolphins are swimming behind
We
me
talk about Into the Woods. Yeah,
into the woods, and we're
yeah.
into the
New
ocean.
York has a wonderful just an event called Encores, in which every year
Yes.
they do three shows that haven't been done in a very long time, and possibly were flops. But in order to afford them, and the conceit is that we're not going to build a set, and we will have, we'll have props and things like that, and the orchestra will be on stage so that we don't have to have a pit, and there's not a lot of room for choreography, even though we'll have some staging, and the costumes will be minimal. So we're spending less money, and we're going to rehearse in a week, and then we're only going to do 3 or 4 performances. But everyone has to memorize the entire show. I mean, it is, how do they do this? The first show that transferred was the wonderful Chicago. That Chicago was a major flop in 1976. I saw it with Gwen Verdon and Chita Rivera, directed by Bob Fosse, and it was wonderful. But it couldn't get an audience. It was very cynical. So it closed in half a year or whatever. It was also the year that a chorus line opened and nothing could compete with a chorus line. Then all of a sudden, Encore said, we're going to do a mini version of Chicago. And the audience went crazy. And a producer came in and said, well, it's not that expensive because they don't have big sets and they don't have a lot of costumes. Why don't we move it to Broadway? And it is now the longest running American musical in history. Currently on the boards. Phantom is still, but Phantom is a British musical. So this is the longest running American, and it's a revival. But it came out of the Encore series. Into the Woods was part of the Encore series. Exactly the same thing. Orchestra on stage, few costumes, some staging, but nothing gigantic as far as the razzle-dazzle you expect from Broadway. Get it? I used razzle-dazzle from Chicago, how I tied that in.
Yeah.
God, sing me something, Darnelle. Sing me something.
Give us the old razzle-dazzle.
There you go.
And that's all we can afford. But yes, so Into the Woods, also Parade, which had a short run as well.
A very short run. It was what you call a flop. Not even a questionable one. It was
transferring to Broadway.
No, it's going to be transferring to Broadway. Yes.
Yeah.
Because they did something with it. They did something with it. And similarly, by the way, it's not the Encore series, but Merrily We Roll Along, the Sondheim flop that has been tried on Broadway twice. It has been done around the world, and no one seems to be able to make it work. Somehow, at the New York Theater Workshop off Broadway, they gave it some stars, Daniel Radcliffe, and the director had an idea. I have not seen it, so I can't comment. And supposedly people think it works now. And they're going to bring it this spring to Broadway. So another one of those, give a different director, without spending a lot of money, a chance to revive something. And if it works, we then get to transfer.
Didn't I see didn't I see that there's also a film in the works, a film adaptation of Maryland?
I do not know. I wouldn't be surprised with the
coming up. It's Richard Linklater.
Oh yeah, it could be. I read that too just this past week.
I saw something in the cast change.
It makes sense because the film rights would help pay for the transfer to Broadway. That happens very often. You get something in the old days. If you heard of a comedian being on Broadway, it was because Netflix or Hulu or somebody gave them the money to do a special on TV, and they used that money to pay for the Broadway staging of it, of which they were then filmed, and that's what you saw on TV. Yeah. So it's money. Money's it, right? I guess Wolf Play just needs somebody with money.
Yes.
So does Exile.
I know. Exile needs your money.
Hey,
Theater Exile. That's REEXILE.org. Click our donate button and drop some coins. Like whatever you want to do. We'll take it all. Yes. In order for us to continue producing great theater, we need your
They do
help.
create, at least from what
Sure.
I've seen, it is a cut
Yes.
above.
But back to City Center, I'm interested in the other pieces in their lineup: Dear World, Oliver, and The Light in the Piazza.
And we don't know until we see them. I've seen all three in their original rendition. I have opinions. That does. I don't know if that matters. You know,
Yeah.
I did not see Parade in its original because it was so short lived. It's a heavy
Hmm.
topic. Parade is not a
Yeah.
razzle dazzle,
No,
dance
it
show.
wasn't.
It's very
It was well
heavy,
done.
but it's a wonderful piece. The question is whether it will attract a tourist crowd on Broadway, and then if they
Yeah.
finance it correctly, it doesn't have to run forever to be successful.
Mhm.
We'll have to see. It's a
Yeah.
great cast and it's beautiful music. So anyway, but the other ones, you have opinions on whether any of them will make it, Darnell?
Uh, I don't know. Well, in our area, I think The Light in the Piazza was produced last by Villanova Theater.
Okay.
I think. I think that was the last time it was produced. Um, so it will be interesting to see.
Again, that's a
If
very
they're
dark, as Parade, it's a very dark musical. Beautiful
yeah.
music. I mean, no, nothing negative about it, but it's not. You don't walk out of there floating on clouds. It's very moving, and I guess that's wonderful. But again,
Yeah.
the question is, and who stars in it matters because you need voices. You need beautiful voices.
Vows.
Yeah.
We need vows.
Dear World, I wish we had Angela Lansbury back. That was her show.
Oh,
But
Angela.
and I have not seen Dear World ever, so I'm intrigued. It's another Sondheim musical, has some wonderful songs in it, um, but we'll see. And
Yeah.
what was the third one you brought up?
Uh, uh,
Okay, well you'll figure it out. I'll come back to you.
Dear
No,
World.
you said Dear World. That was
Dear
Angela
World.
Lansbury.
Oliver.
Oliver.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
please, can I have some more?
That's all everybody knows.
Yeah, well,
Oliver. I saw a great production of Oliver at Quintessence Theater Group here in Chestnut Hill, Mount Airy. I never know what to call that area. Um, Quintessence Theater Group did a great production of Oliver
my
season or two
only
ago.
qualms about Oliver, I mean, it's not one of my favorite musicals. That's me. Is there are a lot of children? Who
Hmm.
wants to deal with children? It's hard enough doing one or two kids. Even Grapes of Wrath had two children in it, but and they're fine, and but their parents. Oh my God! First of all, you have to make sure that the rules are parents are not allowed backstage. Then you have to have guardians that are there are codes for the guardians and there are rules of what they have to follow. They have to have classes during rehearsals and during show times that are connected to their schools. And Oliver has a lot of children. It's not
Yes.
just a couple. So I don't know who would want to have to take that on. So to me, that's, I guess,
We're jumping all over the
yes, we
place.
are.
But since we were talking about children and wrangling, I was thinking about Matilda.
The movie,
Matilda,
the new movie.
the Netflix production of Matilda was
You saw it. I
amazing.
have not yet seen it.
Yes, saw it, really enjoyed
Yeah.
it. Lashana Lynch crushed it as Miss Honey, did a wonderful job. Emma Thompson as Miss Trunchbull did a great job.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I have not gotten around. I've been
McClure.
in rehearsal
It's all that.
and performance for the past few weeks, so I haven't had a lot of time to see other
Yeah.
things.
Well, it was fun. I mean, if you're on social media, it was everyone was doing the
Ah,
choreography from Revolting Children, and it was fun to watch, and it didn't get old at all. It was like, all right, we'll watch these. I saw a cute one. It was like a dad and his son, and the music's playing in the background, and they're about to jump into the choreography, and they don't actually do the choreography, they just do something cute, and it's like, "Aw." All right. Yeah.
it's wonderful that.
Anyway, I love when theater takes all the stages, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like when when the big thing to watch is on television, it's on the streaming platforms, it's on the stages. It's all a callback to that element, that energy, that excitement of live theater, and why live theater is so important and so valuable. And so I hope that when people get to see so many instances of it, even TV shows, like there are TV shows where they have to have a musical episode, you know?
Yes. I,
And a lot of that's been coming up. So all of that is a callback to what we love so much, live theater and being on stages. And so I hope people see that and say, I do,
yeah.
they're doing it. Like we got to get into a live uh, production of something and see what all that buzz is
You know,
about.
it really does affect me and hurt me to realize how many people across this country have not had the chance to experience theater. I understand you get to the
Yeah.
age of 45 or something, you've never seen theater, and you walk in and you go, how come somebody walking down the street starts singing? And they just don't get
Yeah.
it. Part of it is your cultural upbringing. And if you start to understand it, especially if you get to be part of a show, part of the creation of
Hmm.
it, you start to understand what goes into it. It's like whether it's learning a language. Yeah, it's hard. But if you start when you're young, you start to get it, and then it becomes beautiful, and it
Yeah.
really changes your life. So, and as I always say about the Broadway scene, you're not going to see anything bigger, better, or more moving than a version that we see on Broadway. That doesn't mean it's not phenomenal what you see in other states or in other places, but
Yeah.
it's like that extra step above. One, because so much money is spent on it. Um, and even the flops. I mean, you kind of walk out of there and you just go, well, I still learned this. And I have to do a
Yeah.
couple of shout outs. I know it may not be around by the time anyone listens to this, but
Mhm.
there's a play beyond Riverside, excuse me, between Riverside and Crazy.
Riverside and Crazy, yeah.
Stephen Henderson is the lead. May he may they should make a statue. The man is an unbelievable actor. He's had a whole career of it, and he just takes the show in places. It's the writer also. The guy's name is Gurgis. I can't remember his whole name. I always
Stephen Adley
thank you.
Gurgis.
I am now one of his biggest fans. He has written. I've seen three of his shows. Every one of them, I walked out of there a changed person, and they're all
Yeah.
different. I also don't want to mention all their names because we'd have to curse the names of his shows. He writes
Ah.
about the dregs of society and makes you like them and hope for them.
Mhm.
The other thing in Riverside and Crazy, Common, the rapper, this is his first
Yeah.
acting role, and he's wonderful.
Mhm.
He does it's you don't even notice that he's wasn't an actor.
Oh, his theatrical role.
I'm sorry,
His first
first
theatrical role.
theatrical role, correct. But he does. It's I don't even want to insult him by calling it respectable. It's beyond that. He has a big part and he carries it off, and the play's just a hoot. So I recommend
Mhm.
that. Trying to think of the other things I can shout out. I'm always a Kimbo fan. I
Yes.
hope that gets
Yeah,
to your
we've
hometown
given him a lot
on
of
tour.
love.
It's just amazing.
Yeah. Oh, we forgot to, when we were talking about closings, did we mention
No,
Beetlejuice?
we didn't.
Beetlejuice closed on the 8th.
Yeah, sad. Although it had a life, I'm very happy for that. It was truly,
Yeah, had 2
yeah,
lives.
and it was joyous. It's not like
Yeah.
it. I'm not giving it the Pulitzer Prize, but then,
And it had some Comic-Con love
yeah,
too. Playbill was at Comic-Con
hmm
and had a bunch of panels, and we went to a Beetlejuice panel, and that was really great. Alex Brightman and the producers were there. It was such a great
yeah.
time. Yeah. Again, it's like theater is just seeping into everything. There is a show that Alex Brightman is the voice of, an animated series called Dead End Paranormal Park
hmm
on Netflix that had 2 seasons and was unfortunately canceled. I was very disappointed about that. But if you have Netflix, go check it out. Dead End Paranormal
Also
Park.
talking
It's really
about the mixing of media, one should remember that in the days of My Fair Lady's Sound of Music, the hits on radio and record buying came from Broadway shows.
hmm
That was the popular music of its time. That's why we know Do Re Mi and Sound of Music and all that
yeah,
stuff. It's not just the movie came out. This is where
yeah,
recording artists stole the music they wanted to record. So we then went through a period of time where it was the opposite, where it was, are we ever going to get Janet Jackson music on stage? As
mm,
opposed to the other way. And now we're transferring it back a little bit. Now there's just,
yeah.
the audience loves it. They're going to do it on TikTok or they're going to put it out there and people will hear it and then someone's going to record it. Hamilton, all the mixtapes on Hamilton, right?
hmm
That he put out there that,
And I think he's not even
no, he's
finished,
not.
right?
He's not. And it will be
Yeah.
interesting, his next piece, which I personally am not excited about. They're doing a musical version of New York, New York.
Yeah.
The film was done, the music is known, and they're going to put it on stage. And Lin Manuel Miranda is co writing the book, at least. Probably some of the lyrics, who knows? We'll see what happens. It's not a story that I'm personally running to, but hey, talented people can
Yeah.
make you want to go.
Yeah, I know. Like you put his name on it. And we'll see.
I didn't.
We'll see if this Lin Manuel
Yeah,
Miranda has
yeah.
any cachet. We'll
Well,
see.
the truth is, I didn't want to see Beetlejuice, and I was so happy I went. I had because it was
Yeah,
different enough that it felt like it was a new experience,
yeah.
And I had a
We really
wonderful
enjoyed
time
that.
there. So, hopefully, when it comes to your hometown,
And we got to meet Rob McClure on stage, and
yay!
we got to hang out on stage with the cast and all their friends. We met at the stage door. That was when it was at the Winter Garden Theater
Pre-pandemic, they still
pre-pandemic.
won't.
Yeah.
I have interns, college interns I'm working with this month. We still cannot go backstage. Even if they want
Oh,
to,
wow.
they just can't afford to take that last
Yeah.
risk of anyone bringing anything there. The good news is that
Yeah.
these wonderful theater folk have let them come to the theater on the dark days. They have let
Mm.
them in to walk around backstage as long as there's nobody else in the theater. It's really,
Yeah. Even I even noticed that what I've been doing is I'm trying to keep my distance from our
mm-hmm,
artists as
mm-hmm,
well during rehearsal. I just don't want anything.
yeah,
Please talk to me from the door
yeah.
here. It's fine because they are sequestered and rehearsing, and I will be over here with my mask on. Me and our team, we are making sure that our our cast and crew stay safe during this whole
Yeah.
this whole process. We've been working really hard, not just our patrons, but also our
Well, it's one
team.
of the nice things. The rehearsal studios here in New York that I've been working in. this past week, they require a half an hour between the clients using that room for them to go in and disinfect and clean the room. And that's never
Oh,
happened
wow.
before. So even if it may not be as necessary, it's a wonderful holdout from the pandemic that these rooms get cleaned and often. And if we go into the hallway, masks are on. Actors like to take their masks down if they're trying to really get their act together, as it were. But
Yeah.
at some point you got to just go. We got to stay careful.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. And I think that is a good place to
I
leave
do.
it.
It's wonderful being back talking to you, Darnelle. I cannot wait
Yes.
to see you at Theater Exile on February 5th to see The Light.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
hope maybe someone will show up. I have to tell you just one last thing.
I just followed the
Mhm.
playwright, Loy A. Webb on
Yeah.
Instagram, and she followed me back. I'm
Yay.
so excited.
After one quick thing. I did a
Cool show.
reading of a new show this past week, and there was general public was allowed to watch at a distance. It's always a little scary when you have, but theater wants an audience. And after the show, I got an email from a 91-year-old woman in the audience who said, "I'm glad you put your email on the program because I wanted to tell you
Mhm.
how wonderful it was and how much I know it's a reading, but how important I think the play is and the actors were amazing. And I wanted to take the opportunity to tell you." It's like, this is why we do it,
That's
right?
great.
Even a 91 year
Great.
old, I mean, I doubt she's going to pay $100 a seat to go into the city anymore, but but it was a thrill.
Yeah. So in our next episode, we should talk more about the farm script.
Yes, and we'll be able to.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Well, that's the business of theater, a working title. I'm Darnelle
I'm Mitch
Radford,
Weiss.
and we'll see you at the theater
Yay.
in 2023. Thank you for listening. Tune in next time for another episode of The Business of Theater, a working title, with Darnelle Radford and Mitch Weiss. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Share the podcast with a friend, colleague, or give us some social media love. This podcast is an Emory production. Visit us online at em3ry.com/TBOT. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at em3ryotm.